Hello and welcome to Skincare Sessions with Jane. I hope you're having a great week. Today I want to talk about the fact that beauty isn't skin deep. I was reading an article a few weeks ago about this, and it really made me think about how what we think about beauty and how we approach it. So I think we can all agree that beauty is something that we all try to attain, and this has been going on since time began. This is not new to our generation, our society, our culture. This is pretty universal stuff. And yet we live in a world where timeless, ageless, constant beauty is really very is nebulous. It's difficult to touch, and of course it is quite subjective as well. So as we get older, clearly we could say that visually we have less beauty, but of course what we gain, or what we can share in terms of wisdom, is much greater than when we were much younger. So the importance of beauty and why beauty is only skin deep is quite an interesting topic, really. So I think it also goes back to our values and how, when we think about beauty, at the moment, if I go onto the internet, if I look at magazines, I see pictures everywhere of beautiful people. But mostly they're photoshopped and they're tampered with in some way to enhance that look. And I suppose there's nothing wrong with that, but it's wrong for us to think that that's something we should continually look like, because it's not actually possible. So going back to values then, our values are our thoughts and our opinions about things that are important, and values are something that I really like to sort of reconnect with quite regularly, but because it helps us as individuals to know, it's like an internal compass. It helps to keep us on track. So our values, aligning our values with who we actually are and what we're actually presented with, can be quite challenging at times. So for example, the desire to be beautiful and ageless and timeless, and this media push is sort of juxtaposed between the two thoughts of that plus what's reality. And that's what that means. That's just that push against the one or the other, the push-pull. So I wondered if it was time to think about how we could push back and what pushing back on this might look like in our own way. What would we need to do to push back? How would we need to communicate that to ourselves or even to the outside world? And I strongly believe that reconnecting with your own values, as I said, will help you to be the best version of yourself. So that for me is our starting point. And that includes our identity and how I show up in the world when I think about my values, and how we take care of ourselves comes into that. That self-care that we've all been hearing a lot about. And we need to think a lot about this stuff at the moment. It's really, really important with what's going on in the world. So I'm going to push the idea that our identity and our values are key to who we are, and that therefore they inform how we think and what we do and what we say and how we show up in the outside world. So if you align your thoughts and your feelings with that, then you get the option to thinking about what can you do to show up in the world the way you want to be, the way you want to be perceived, the way you want other people to see you. And as I said, this takes me straight back to the beginning point, which is beauty isn't just skin deep. It's much more. So it's how we feel, it's about what we eat, it's about how much sleep we get, it's about what supplements we take, it's about what routines we take on. For example, exercise, skincare. I knew you'd wondered whether skincare was coming in, and there it is. But you see, it's all part of a bigger parcel for me, a bigger package, if you like. And so these aspects that are important to us, particularly at Sunrider, to me, as somebody who sits and talks about skincare every week, I would be doing a disservice if I didn't talk about the inner stuff as well as the outer stuff. So think about that. Think about where you are in terms of what you want to bring to the world and show to the world, and how you take care of yourself and how you attend to that to make it happen, to be the best version of yourself that you can be. So going back to the things that I spoke about, you know, the actions you can take, eating well, taking supplements, that's something that we can do. Do we do it? Do we give up on ourselves? Does that saboteur come in that says, oh, well, I know that I should, but it doesn't always show up? Or you can't be bothered. That's another saboteur, incidentally. So all those little voices in your head, all those thoughts and feelings that run through, and where you wonder whether you should do something, that's a saboteur that's telling you, well, am I really worth it? Of course you're really worth it, and of course it's really important to show up and be worth it. And then, you know, that's the cycle, the wonderful cycle that you can continue of validate yourself to the outside world, and the outside world will validate itself back to you. So going back to our list of eating well, sleeping well, exercise, such a big one. And my last and most relevant point to this topic of beauty and being skin deep is actually skincare. That regime and the self-care that you need every day to enhance your skin, having it the best it can look, is so, so important. All those other things that I mentioned will make such an impact on the way that you look. But we all know that you can look amazing, but if your spirit and your joie de vivre, your passion for life is not there, then you won't look beautiful anyway. You might look attractive, but that's a very, you know, that spirit, that energy that we all look for in people is really, really important. And if you can find that in yourself and be present with that, and do the other things that I talked about just now to help you feed that, then that is where beauty is not just skin deep. So yeah, I hope that's given you some food for thought. I hope that you can, you know, to round off, I had some thoughts really, and about beauty being so much more than being skin deep. It's all that you are. It's your identity, it's your values, and everything you do to show up as your most authentic self. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye now.